Hey guys, welcome back. This is the third time you're seeing me today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Thank you, Monster Energy, for giving me the energy to do all these episodes. But guys, this is going to be an amazing episode. Before we even start, I want to give a shout out to Donnie Boivin. Without Donnie, I would not be able to do what I do today. I owe my whole career to Donnie Boivin. So Donnie, I love you, success champion all the way. And also Laura DeFranco, thank you so much for always being in my corner. I appreciate you and everything you do. But guys, if you listen to the end of this episode, I promise you, you're gonna find out what is a website, what's a funnel, and why do I need a website, especially in today's market. So this is going to be a great episode. Jessica's not only an amazing person, she's crushing it in business. She's an amazing mom to 3 beautiful children, amazing wife to her husband, Brad. And I'm so grateful that she's actually coming on to hang out with me today. Welcome to the show, Miss Jessica.
Thank you, Richard. And I agree completely with the Donnie piece. A lot of people have gotten to where they are today because of his inspiration. So thank you for having me on the show. And I'm glad we have that common connection.
It's my honor. And I've been a success champion probably since he even started the group. I think I was one of the first ones ever. And I was one of the first people to ever be on his podcast. And he's been on my podcast and on my Facebook Lives, I think 5 or 6 times now. So I'm grateful for him. So let me ask you a question, because as we know, 2020 shit the bed. A lot of people had to close businesses. A lot of people had to learn how to pivot. So what is your definition of resiliency, especially in business?
To keep on pushing. Because if you give up, that isn't resiliency. Resiliency is pushing forward, having the momentum and learning from the challenges, not being a victim in the mindset, but saying, okay, I had this hurdle. What did I learn from it? And use it to your advantage to move forward.
And I love that you said momentum. So like vertical momentum, right? That's what you meant, right?
Yeah.
So, if people would see how you are now, got a beautiful family, a great business, a great, amazing partner, spouse, but your life hasn't always been all sunshine and rainbows and Skittles, right? So let's talk a little bit about where you come from, where did you grow up, and how did you become the force that you are today?
Okay, where I grew up? Is that where we want? Are we going
that back?
Okay, yeah. Where I grew up, I actually kind of grew up in an agricultural life. So my father was the one who raised me. It was just my mother went to be a nurse, and so he was the one that stayed at home and raised us. With that, he had a large interest in agriculture. So I pretty much grew up on a miniature ranch. We had like over 100 rabbits. We had horses. We had chickens. We had all this stuff. But my dad was also an entrepreneur. So while he was raising us, he started his own lawn care service business. The first time that I got introduced to business, he would hire us. He would actually hire us he would print off these postcards and make us put stamps on them. And then he would mail them out to keep costs down. But then the first time of entrepreneurship that came into my life was we became beekeepers. And from there, we learned about expenses in a business and buying supplies, and we would actually take the honey and go sell it at a local health food store, and then we would have to subtract the expenses and we'd get the profits. And that was a little business that me and my sister ran at a young age.
So did you have any goats like Mr. Donnie has all these goats?
No goats. We had rabbits. We had the rabbits.
So did you go to college for entrepreneurship?
No, I went to college for communication designs, which is a fancy word for graphic design and visual arts. So I come from a creative advertising background. In that realm, what their focus was making us to think conceptually. It wasn't always about the arts, the graphics, and all that good stuff. You can always hire people, but you had to be able to think to get through the program. You had to be able to make these connections. Every year, they would actually cut people from the program. That's how um, serious they were about getting, and our graduating class was maybe 20, 30 people.
So you actually went to school for one thing, but it also taught you some hard skills and also some soft skills, right?
Yes, very, very much so. It definitely didn't teach me the business side of it. I would have to go say some of the business acumen that I got was from my high school job. Little old 80-year-old lady named Miss Rushoff owned a office supply store. And for some reason, she undertook me under her arm and she kind of pushed me out front and help her run the business and help the people that ran her business run her business.
But looking at, because today we're I think it's January 10th, 2024. AI is starting to take over,
Mhm.
but I think soft skills are more important, or as important, or if not more important than hard skills, and that's something that we both agree on because, as we were talking earlier, you believe in, like I do, in community building and
Mhm.
building relationships, and business is all about relationships. So talk about the balance between hard skills and soft skills.
They're both needed, and I can tell a story. So I was working at an agency. I was the top director, hiring people. One of our responsibilities was we needed to be able to answer the phone. Hired some entry level graphic designers, interns that just came out of college. They would stare at the phone like it was a monster. They did not know how to answer the phone. And so it kind of surprised me that I actually had to teach the younger, I don't want to say generation, but people that didn't grow up with a pick up the phone and call mentality, how to actually answer the phone. Um, and so sometimes I think we take these skills that we know for granted, because it doesn't come as readily and easily to some people.
Now, I got three children. I got an 11-year-old, I got a 19-year-old, and I got a 21-year-old. And they do everything on their phone except call people. They don't even realize that you can actually call somebody on this thing. But I think if you're able to talk, if you're able to converse, if you're able to public speak, you can pretty much write your own checks. And obviously, like Donnie, he's about as backwoods country, drops a couple F bombs here and there because of the Marine in him, but he also can get in front of people and talk to people. And that's why I think that he's so successful doing with the Success Champions. So talk about that, about how, those skills can set you apart from everybody else, especially in the day of AI where everybody's doing the same exact thing.
A I would say that remembering people, remembering details, remembering things that happen in the conversation take you so far, so much further. Because, I mean, if you go to a networking meeting, you'll have the conversation and then most people are out the door. But if you can follow up with that conversation and say, oh, hey, I remember you talking about this. Tell me more about this. You see them light up because you remembered them. In a world of instant gratification, remembering is not top of mind.
And and that's something I really agree upon with you. And I believe that when you're talking to somebody, you should at least use their name a couple times because everybody loves to hear their own name. So they know that, hey, if they're using my name, at least they're paying attention to who I'm talking to.
100%. If you end a conversation or like a virtual call or even just a phone call and you're on with like a service rep and you say their name at the end and you're like, hey, thank you, Joe, for helping me out. You can kind of hear it, like you can hear a upbeat in their voice of they actually remembered me. They knew my name. That was so awesome. And they're just happy, more happy to help you.
And for me, like now that you're in my ecosystem and I'm in your ecosystem, and I would like to build a generational relationship. So I'm going to follow you on your all your social medias, and I'm going to see pictures of your beautiful kids, and of course I'm going to comment on birthdays, and when I see pictures of you and Brad together doing things, I'm like, hey, it's a cute couple. But once somebody starts seeing your name pop up because you're being social on social media, it changes the game. So
Mhm.
talk about that, about how in today's age to be social on social media.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. People will actually strategically partner up with each other that have these large followings, and they'll use each other's followings to leverage their building of their community around each other. And it's all a giving mentality. If you post something and everyone's commenting on it, and you look at these people and then you don't reciprocate, well, they're going to eventually drop off. Social media is really a dopamine fix when it comes down to it. People are there for the instant gratification, the likes, the comments, all that stuff. And so if you feed into that dopamine fix, that means they're going to they subliminally create a positive interaction with you when you come into the real world.
And in order for me to have Laura on, and then for me to have you on, it was a relationship that started 6 years ago with Donnie. And for
Mhm.
me, I believe that the relationship game is a long game.
It
And if
is.
you're building it for the right reasons, not just for for what you can get out of it, but if you're building relationships for the right reason, you'll never, like my friend Gary Vaynerchuk told me. He said, Rich, if you promote your friends 10 times more than you promote yourself, you never have to promote yourself. Like I was just on an interview, and then I get off and I have like 25 notifications that people are talking about my new podcast course, and I haven't even told anybody about it yet. But people are just like, "Oh, Rich, you're always there for me. You're always, you know, wishing me happy birthday. You're always, just messaging me, hey, Donnie, how you doing, brother? I love looking at the pictures of the goats. Just want to let you know I love you." Things like that, I think, is what changes the game in your favor, instead of being like all the other people that have AI, or so many people that they're just there to make a buck instead of build a relationship. So talk about building relationships a little bit.
Uh, so building relationships, it's as you said, it's a long game play. Um, and it can't be a one-way street. It has to be two ways. Um, Relationships come into play in different aspects, especially in business. Some of my relationships are people that kick me in the ass to get going. Other ones are, hey, we have a business relationship where we collaborate on projects. And it's feeding into those relationships to build your business and what is going to make you successful. Some of the best leads that I have received is because I've built relationships. Some of the projects I've worked on as a web designer, I wouldn't have had the opportunity if I had just stayed inside of an agency, working for an agency. But pulling myself out as my own gave me the opportunity to experience things with my relationships that I had built that wouldn't have come across if I had just not developed those relationships.
I love it. Now, before we get started any further, I want to thank our sponsors as you guys, because I changed everything coming up for New Year's. So the ticker used to be down there, and now it's up here. So I just want to thank Phil Cook, another veteran. He actually has a portrait. He actually is a photographer, and he actually captures all your best moments of your family, and does some amazing things. He does wood boxes. He does anything. He'll put your family's picture on pretty much anything, and he's offering 20% off for the month of January if you want to get your family's photographs memorialized forever. Just check out Phil Cook, and the website is up above. But his relationship started 8 years ago, and now he's in the business. But if I didn't have that relationship from now, I wouldn't be having him as a sponsor of the show. But now let's talk what you're great at. A lot of people I hear, oh, you need a website. And then I hear from two different perspectives. One is, yeah, you just go to GoDaddy, or you just go to Wix. Or then you're like, no, you got to spend 20 grand on a website, or you got to get in touch with Russell Brunson and build a funnel. And people, I think, are just like, I'm so confused. I'm not going to do anything. So tell us what a website is and what you actually need it for.
Okay, so let's back up. One, to start a business, you don't need a website. I'll probably be the only website designer that says you don't need a website. You need a proven business plan. So that means you need to be able to go out and sell. If you cannot sell it yourself, your website will not be able to sell it for you. Your website, what I tell everyone in the simplest form, is that your website should be a reflection of your top sales conversations. That way, when you're out there, you're selling, the first thing they do is they're going to check out your website. They'll check out social media, but they'll check out your website. Your website is pretty much you in digital form. So if your website does not reflect you in the real world, then there's this miscommunication and the relationship is broken down, because now there's this trust of, oh, he sold me all this awesome stuff and now I'm at his website. This isn't what at all he told me about. So it pretty much goes back to the relationship. What relationship are you wanting to have with them? And what relationship are you wanting to give them in a digital experience?
Okay, so for instance, if I show up like this, or a hat and a t-shirt on every podcast. If you go to my website and then all of a sudden I'm sitting there in a 3-piece suit, you're going to be like, it's not the same dude. Something's wrong here. Somebody died. Somebody's going to court, because that's not Rich. And I think a lot of people, when they try to have these fancy websites with all the bells and the whistles, but like you said, it doesn't drill down to who they really are. And I think sometimes when somebody builds a website and spends 20, 30 grand on it, it looks great, but it's slow as hell and it doesn't load properly. Or it just gets so confused that people are not going to subscribe. They're just going to log off. Because I think, like I said, a confused mind doesn't buy anything. Mm-hmm. So talk about having a good website, but sometimes the simplest is sometimes the best.
Yes. And so a lot of companies that I work with, when they're just starting out, I will tell them, just get a landing page up. Just get a 5-page. Those are our 2 basic packages, either a landing page or a 5-page. I have a client owns a luxury equestrian center. I put maybe 3 pages up, and that is her main lead generator. Now, you got to take into account the competition in the area. but we branded her in such a way that everyone gravitated to her. Her personal brand reflected through the website that it wasn't just a stable to put your horse in. This is a luxury experience with the top quality padding for their stalls. We have this new arena. All this stuff poured into just a single landing page, and it's her number one lead generator. Now you go break into the B2B side, you're going to have a little bit more difficulty because that area is more um, saturated with the businesses that you're wanting to attract. And that's where it comes to you need to know your sales plan and how you're going to attract those customers, especially if you're in a saturated area in the SEO. What happens is you go out and you sell, they're going to come back and check you out. And that's where the verification that you are a valid person and a valid business comes into play. You don't have to go all balls to the wall and build a 20-page website. You can start with that one pager. You can start with that 5-pager. And oftentimes I'll bring older businesses in that have really bad websites and it's convoluted with 40, 50 pages. I'm like, we're going to take this all out, put 10 pages in, and you're done. And they're like, they're scared to. And I'm like, just trust me, it's going to work. And we take it down to 10 pages. They're able to funnel through it, figure out what they actually do, how they service them, what their objections are. That's a great thing. What questions do they have? Answer those questions. All of those things put into 10 pages. People don't have a lot of time to sort through 40 pages. Give them the answers they need, and they'll convert into a buying customer.
And I totally agree. Now, my friend William Matry, he's the one that did my website, www.verticalmomentumpodcast.com, because that's what I do. But we looked at what Ed Milet's webpage looked like. We looked at what Gary looks like. We looked at what Tim Ferriss looked like. We're like, okay, well, if they're the top of the chain, we want to be something like them without biting off them. We want to, see what's working well, and then we want to work backwards. But I think that we wouldn't be as successful as we are if we didn't have some of those other ones. I'm not going to mention names because I don't want to get sued. But talk about, instead of saying, oh, you can build your own website, just click here, click here, and click here, and your website's going to be up and running in 24 hours. And for me, I tried it the first time, and once I realized, wait a minute, I don't own my own content. There's a problem here because I signed up with a commercial brand. So talk about that as, what are some of the things about not just signing up with something you see on a TV or a commercial, and then you're like, okay, I have a website, but I don't own my own stuff. They own my own stuff and can shut me off at any moment.
Yes. So there's two. Okay. There's a couple different topics in there. So the first one is just launching a website for yourself. As a team, our process takes 7 people to launch a website. Now, some of them I do, so I count as like maybe 2, 3, 4 people. But we have multiple people on the team, and it is a process and a system to get that custom website, to get what you want. A lot of the templates, they are getting better, but a lot of the templates will not include a call to action. It won't ask the user to do something. That's a critical part in your website. If you're not asking someone to do something when you have to prompt people to go take action. You can't just assume that they'll take action. So that covers the launching a website yourself, using a template. And then there was a third one of using someone that specializes in your industry or your niche. The problem with that is that, one, you don't own your content. You already discovered that.
The hard way.
Yeah.
I figured that out the hard way.
A lot of people will go this route, and it's perfectly fine for SEOs. The company has hacked the SEO for, like, say, CPAs. They hacked the code for CPAs, and they know exactly what content needs to go on your website. But if you cancel that contract, all that content goes away, and you don't. And it also lacks your voice. And that's probably one of the biggest complaints I get from people that use a company that niches in their industry is my voice is missing from this content. It's not me. It's not my brand.
Okay. So, and like I said, a lot of people, and they think, oh, well, I'm just going to put a web page up, and I'm going to get a lot of traffic, and I'm going to get a lot of sales. And then they're looking at their analytics the first month, and you're seeing crickets, and they don't realize, wait a minute, you got to put in the work. You have to advertise that you have a website, first of all, because
Mhm.
a lot of people are just not going to show up just to show up, no matter how good your SEO is. And your SEO might be great. They might be coming there, but straight, if it's not interesting, they're out of there. So
Yes.
you spend all that money literally for nothing. So talk about that as having interesting content. So your bounce rate is not going to be stupid, where people are just going to bounce as soon as they get there.
So people go to a website to learn something or to solve a problem. So your pages and your content on the actual pages is to solve that problem. What do you have of value that is to them that will solve their problem? And when we do these websites, the first thing we do is we sit down with the owner and sometimes the top salesperson, and we do a discovery session on the business. We go through the missions, the values, um, we go through their objections, we go through what products they have to have available to sell. We go through pretty much their whole sell system, and we record it, and that recording goes through the whole process of the project. So the whole team knows who this company is. The second thing is marketing it. If going back to, if you have a high saturation industry, you're going to have to work so much harder you have two choices. You can pay a lot of money for SEO, or you can go out there and you can market yourself. That means creating a personal brand on LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, wherever your audience is, creating that personal brand, creating an email marketing campaign. You have to go out and create those experiences to bring them back in. Your second, so we have the solve the problem, and then we have they're looking for information. Your information is your blog. And doing the blog answers the questions that people are wanting. So if you're take an executive recruiter, you have knowledge how to recruit these high-end executives. No knowledge in this day and age is super top secret. It's pretty much all been done. But what you're trying to do is when someone comes to your website, you're trying to answer their question, keep them informed on how to do this, what are the best practices, and then eventually they'll say, this guy knows what he's actually doing. I'll save money by just hiring him to do it for me instead of me having to do it. Because we all know that if we can hire someone to do something for us, we get time back in our day.
Yeah, and that's true, because whenever I go to a website, I look for those same exact things that you're talking about, because now I know what to look for. But when I set up my website with William, he sat me down, and it took a while because we actually had to go through, what colors are we using? what branding, what logos are we going to use? Because I see a lot of people, they start out in business and they might be on every social media platform, but every social media platform has a different picture. It has a different color. It's not one brand. Like for me, if you look at Vertical Momentum, it's the same, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Tumblr, it's all the same. Because I realize that I know what the Nike swoosh looks like. So if I see Nike with another symbol and I'm like, it can't be Nike. It's got to be somebody a knockoff. So talk about that, how important making sure how important your colors are and how important your branding is before you even try to attempt to start a website or a landing page or anything like that.
So you have two sides of branding. You have your visual branding, and then you have your messaging, what you stand for, and your mission and your statement. Both are super important. Visually, in a digital world, your branding makes a cohesive visual story because an image speaks 1,000 words. But then also your messaging is important, and staying consistent in what you believe in, what your values are, and going back to creating that consistent experience. Even if you're out in the real world, coming back to your website, are you providing the same experience? Are you providing the same experience on social media? Are you providing the same experience in your email marketing? Once you start shaking the boat and you have different experiences, they don't know what to expect. People attract to security. Are you providing a secure experience for them to make them feel that their relationship is going to be strong with them?
Okay, and as I'm learning as I'm interviewing you, so I'm going to be using all this for my knowledge and for me to put into use. But I had Steve Sims on, Steve D. Sims, and he said, you know what? He said, I wrote my first book, Blue Fishing. I showed it to my wife because he had it ghostwritten, and and Claire handed it back to him, said, you can't put this out. He's like, why not? He says, because it sounds like shit. It doesn't sound like you wrote it. It sounded like it was ghostwritten, so he had to write it back. And I think now with AI and Chat GPT and Baird and Bard and all that, you're like you said, if people don't think it's your language, like if Donnie writes an email and there's not an F bomb in there somewhere leaked in there, then I don't know. Is that really Donnie Boivin? But like, I'm a ninth grade dropout. So if I'm writing an email and it has a bunch of 9-syllable words, I didn't write it. So you're not going to trust me when the next one come in. So talk about, like you said, having your own voice and just not using Chat GPT to write all your emails and all your copy.
So Chat GPT, great tool, amazing tool, but it will take away your voice. I can sit there and I can record something of me talking vocally, and I know immediately if I put it into Chat GPT, it's going to sound direct marketing. Direct marketing is just really in the face, and that's not me. So I actually have to go into Chat GPT and say, hey, make it more casual. After it makes it more casual, I'll say, okay, take out the modern lingo because I don't use that lingo. And then it gets kind of close to my voice, but I'm still going in and editing it. It's just a tool to help you speed up the pace. I had a client who, even before ChatGPT started going through all these press releases, he's like, have you heard about ChatGPT? Have you done all this stuff? Look at these blog articles that I've written. And I look at them, I'm like, these are very stoic and boring. And he's an Instagram follower, and he climbs roofs of like these apartment buildings and these mansions. And he opens the roofs. He used to be a firefighter. He rescues bees. I said, none of this is in your website. None of this is in your story. So if you're going to use ChatGPT, record your own story and integrate it in with what ChatGPT has to say. And that way it still feels like it is your own, because ChatGPT can't make up stories. They can't make up real life. They're just pulling things and aspects from the internet to create what you want it to be.
And I totally agree. Now, I just launched my podcast course January 1st, 2nd, and my first client, he's about to launch his podcast on Valentine's Day. And I was teaching him yesterday about, Chat GPT versus Chat GPT-4. And that I tell everybody, yeah, I use it, but as a tool, not as a crutch. But just like if I go see my doctor, he's gonna have a PA to help him out. If I go see my lawyer, there's gonna be somebody at the front desk helping him out. So that's how I say, use Chat GPT as a tool, but not as as a crutch. So somebody asked me before I was coming on with you, I told them I was having you on. They're like, oh my God, I'm so excited. She's like the queen of websites. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to ask this question. So I'm not gonna get sued by asking this question. I'm not gonna mention anybody's name. But what is the difference between a landing page, a website, and a funnel? Because sometimes people think they're used interming, whatever that word is. So what are the three? I told you I'm a ninth grade dropout. So what are those? What are those three things, and how do they differ from each other?
So, okay, so your website is you. A landing page is just kind of single landing page. It's kind of like an extended business card kind of thing. This is what we do. This is what we service. A funnel is more of in between a website and a landing page. A funnel has a specific thing that you are trying to sell them on, and it funnels them through that. Usually in the funnel, then you have upsells and downsells. So it is a more robust system. You're usually running ads to it. You found a solution that works. And whenever I have clients, if they want to go paid advertising, I'm like, great, let's find something that works and is proven on your website that's creating that traffic, and they click through to it, and we'll create a funnel for it. If you do it the opposite way, where you create a funnel and you start paying ads, it can take 3 to 4 months to adjust that content and that ad spend to get that locked in. But if you start with something proven from your website and just repurpose it for a funnel, then you have it's kind of shortcut your process of figuring out what's working and what's not.
So have you ever had a customer come in and say, Jessica, I want to, put up a web page. And as you're talking to them and you're like, I don't get it. I got nothing. You're going 35 different directions. Have you ever had to sit down and be like, okay, focus, follow one course until successful? Have you ever had to sit down and say, all right, Junior, slow down. We need to figure out where we're heading. We can't do 35 different things. Let's just focus on 1 or 2 different things. Have you ever had that happen to you?
Yes, and a lot of them I turned down. But okay, so in all seriousness, yes, I have clients that they're like, I want to expand to this and this and this. And we're like, no, let's focus. And usually through the discovery session, we build, and then we're giving them a plan and mapping it out. They start seeing the focus. And so when we get to that launch moment, it's kind of like almost a mini rebrand moment for them. Because once we launch it, they're like, this is what I do. I like, they know what they do. We just verbalize it for them, and we put it together into that website experience for them.
So, as like we talked earlier, my perfect avatar is a 45-year-old male, father of 3, veteran, brand new business owner. And I made a lot of mistakes when I first started this, and Donnie can attest, because he even told me one time, I had him on once. He's like, I'm not coming on your podcast anymore. And I'm like, why not? He's like, because it's outdated, it's antiquated, and you're not even up to date. So I'm not even coming on. So I had to, like you said, sometimes you have to have somebody kick you in your ass
Hey,
to move up your game.
he told me to go eat shit once, so we're pretty good.
So, but what are some of the mistakes that you see in new business owners when they're trying to get a website up and running? What are some of the mistakes that you see being made more than once, or you see it often?
Mistakes. Are they using a web design company or are they not?
Well, but then you can go to, what's the difference between why would I hire you? And I know why I would hire you anyway, but because I did a lot of ground research on you. But why wouldn't I go to that old NASCAR race driver? I'm not going to mention her name, or go to some other website. And why would I not hire them to do it?
So are you asking why would we not hire someone in their backyard or their garage building websites, or someone starting out?
Yeah, because sometimes you don't know where to go. I mean, I might have Ahmed from Pakistan saying, "I'll build your website for $500," but then you have somebody like Jessica that's proven herself, but for $500, I'll be lucky if I have a cup of coffee with her for $500. So because I think, and like when I had one of my brothers on, and I was talking to Russell Brunson, he said, people that pay attention. So I'd rather pay somebody and know I'm getting good quality work than just paying Ahmed in Afghanistan to build a website for $500. And then when he jacks me for more money, he says, "Well, I'm the page administrator, so I'm going to shut this thing down anyway if I don't."
Okay. Okay. Got it. So outsourcing versus hiring someone here. So outsourcing, you have to have an extra skill in being able to communicate with the culture. Each culture is different. If you go to India, they're going to execute exactly what you said. They're not going to use deductive reasoning. If I do this, then this happens. You're going to say something and they're going to do exactly what you want it to do. If you are wanting to outsource, go to the Philippines. Philippines is close enough to Australia. Australia's business ecosystem is very similar to America's ecosystem. So they have assimilated to that culture. And in fact, some of my favorite developer is in the Philippines. We work together. Since I'm a mom, I'm working nighttime. So he works the shifts that I need to be communicating with the team. But if you do not have that experience and understand their culture and how to communicate with them, understand their underlying tones when they're texting you, watching what they're doing while they're building and saying, "Hey, he's off. What's going on in his personal life that's affecting his work?" And that's very hard to do without being face to face. So it's all about, are you good at managing and looking at the different cultures to be able to work with them? Yes, you can build a successful website, but know what you're getting into. On the flip side, if you come to like someone like me, that's a web strategist. I've been doing this for over 10 years. So we're going back to, we're giving you time back. So you don't have to figure it out. You can go focus on the other aspects in business while we take that off of your hands. No one goes into their business and say, "I want to work on a site." No one does it. Usually I get on phone with the business owners and I say websites, and they're like, "Oh, really? Do we have to talk about websites?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is going to be fun. Let's do it." So it's going into your area of expertise, staying there, and hiring the people that are good at what they do to do what they do.
Now, and I also think it leads to credibility, because if I say, you're a business owner, well, let me send me your link for your website. We don't have one. And then you're like, what? It's like, really? You don't need, it's like, you don't have a website? And we're like, yeah, no. And you've been in business 10 years. You don't have one. Like, yeah, no. I'm like, well, because I believe, especially with Google, and people are going to check you out before they even meet with you. Because I'm sure that even though Donnie said we're good to go, I'm sure you did your homework and made sure that I'm who I am and said, do what I say I do. But if I went to go check you out, and if you're a website strategist and you don't have a website, or you don't have reviews, or it's like you lost all credibility before you even start. So don't you think, websites and also getting great reviews and social proof is important in business today?
Yes. I do say that you don't have a website you don't need a website to start a business, but you do need the social proofing. So if you're not going to build that website right out the door, you need to be active somewhere. You need to be collecting testimonials from your clients. The easiest thing to do is to set up a Google business profile and collect reviews there. That at least puts you on the map and has a log of all the people that have interacted with you. Put a system in place to get those reviews. If you don't have Google business profile and you're not a business that can use, there are specific businesses that can't use Google business. Use your LinkedIn profile, use your Facebook. Have a way to have that social proof to back you. So when people say, okay, who is this person? It's not just crickets.
And then I think that all goes back to relationship. Like if Donnie Boivin says to his group, all right, this guy's trusted, he does what he says he's going to do, it gives way more credence than I could be shouting at the rooftops how great I am. But if Donnie or somebody, like when I had Mr. Dean Graziosi shout me out, just saying, check out his podcast. It's amazing. It was amazing how many people showed up just because those people said, this guy he does what he says he's do. But if I'm on Facebook saying I'm the greatest podcaster in the world, nobody's going to care unless somebody else says it. So talk about building social proof in your business, especially today in the world of social media now.
I'm going to jump over to Success Champions for this one. So within Success Champions, I'm the president of the DFW Connection Point. I'm also the national training director for Success Champions. We're building something so great that our people are wanting to bring people to the community. They're saying, I'm getting so much value in this. And we're not having to say, hey, come join our community. It's going to do this and it's going to build your business and all this stuff. It's people going out and saying, you need to come join this because it helped me. And so you need to be part of it as well.
But like you said, it all pretty much all boils down to relationships in business. Like, I know that, like I said, now we're all in each other's ecosystems, that I take pride in my relationship. I think we have almost like 30,000 followers on LinkedIn. And I just won't send a request out or, accept a request just to have a request or just to have a follower. If I don't think I can hang out with you, have a cup of coffee, and enjoy your company, I'm not even going to accept that request, or I'm not going to send a request. And I think people think, well, I got 1 million followers. Yeah, but you put a post out, 3 people said something. It's like you don't have any engagement. So it's not really having community and collaboration, right?
Right. And there are people that out there that go buy you. Pretty much you can buy their services and they'll build your LinkedIn profile up. That's one of the things I look at Success Champions. If someone comes in, they have 20,000 followers, but then I go look at their posts and there's no interactions. That means they bought their following. They didn't build it, they bought it.
And and the great thing is I have some great people in my life. Rachel B. Lee, Joshua B. Lee, and Jordan Mendoza. If I put something out on LinkedIn, they're going to call me out on bullshit. They're going to be like, bro, that was weak. Or they're going to be like, there's somebody that's what they do full time. So they know the good, the bad, and the ugly about, like LinkedIn. So talk about having somebody like Donnie, like yourself, like so many other success champions. They're going to call you out if you're saying something stupid. They're going to be like, Donnie will be like, bro, you can't. He'll put there and be like, bro, you can't put that in here. You know what I mean? If it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. So isn't it great to have somebody that's in your corner, but also will put foot to ass when you need to?
Yeah, and that's honestly what the whole when you come into one of the chapters for Success Champions, that's pretty much who they are. They're going to put you out there. If you work on building those relationships, you can go back and look at my post probably about a year ago. Anything I put out, it got a couple likes now here and there. But if you look at my post now, it's people commenting on it, and I can actually respond with like a personal comment back because I know the people that are commenting on my profile. I can relate it to their story that I've experienced with them, and I can usually pull a single thread from our conversation and respond to their content or their comment that they posted on my, and it makes it that much more special.
So, what is going on in the world of Jessica and Brad today? What do you guys got going on? What's coming up in the future for the family and also for business?
Kids, kids, and kids. Is that a good enough answer?
Besides taking the dentist,
Honestly, this past year, me and my husband have both been going after our business. It's been great to be alongside someone. We're both working hard. This year we're coming back because we got our kids saying, you guys work all the time. We were like, well, we were going after it. So we're going to pull back a little, re-engage with the kids. And that means taking them to the dentist at 10 o'clock.
Somebody got to pay the dentist, right? You got to make enough to pay the dentist.
Yes. Yeah. But hey, we went to Chick-fil-A afterwards.
Then you're good. If you went to Chick-fil-A, you're good.
Yeah. I'm mom of the year now. So I want to start traveling with them and bringing experiences to them and really giving them something outside of just our home kind of thing. We give them an amazing experience at home, and now it's time. They're all old enough. Youngest is 5. So now we're at that travel age where we're comfortable and we can get out there and just show them the world.
So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, somebody wants to hire you to build their website, where do they go? How do they find you? And how do we support you and your husband's mission?
My website. Go to my website. It's going to be Buzz.
Wait, you got a website?
Yeah. So it's Buzz WKS. I actually have my Calendly calendar on there, so don't be shy to go on there and just book an appointment with me. I'm happy if it's just hey, I want to pick your brain a little bit more about this idea I'm working on, or if you actually do want to build a website. I mean, I love meeting people. Part of meeting people is learning myself. I get to dive into your business, learn about what you're doing. And so many times I get to take those things back to my business and implement them. Second way is LinkedIn. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's my most active social media platform. That's where I play.
Me too. Like I said, Facebook and LinkedIn are my play area. I mean, I think we're on like 35 different social media platforms, but those are the main two. So this is a teaching podcast. So if somebody was to start a business today, January 10th, 2024, what would be your top 3 pieces of advice that they can start using today?
Go
No
sell.
pressure. No pressure.
Go sell. Go sell. Go sell something. And because if you cannot sell something, then you do not have a business. Your second is hire out what you don't want to do. And if you can't hire out what you want to do, then it may mean you need to increase your prices. Your third piece will go back to build those relationships. Those relationships will take you so far in your business, whether it's through connecting you to people, whether it's through education, or whether it's a strategic partner relationship. And out of all of those threes, I would say the relationship is the most part.
I love it. So I just want to say, I want to thank you. I want to thank Donnie. I want to thank Laura for putting everything us together. And I would love to, if you could just tell us about that group again on LinkedIn that you have, in case somebody is on LinkedIn. How do they find that group on LinkedIn?
Success Champions.
Yeah.
On LinkedIn, there is a Success Champions page that you can reach out to us and connect with us, or you can go to our website, and we have about 20 chapters across the U.S. That you can sign up to visit. There's no obligation to it. Come check us out. It is an experience that you have to experience to get the full idea of what it actually is.
I love it. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time. I'm truly humbled and grateful that now we're friends. And I just want to say thank you for giving me all that advice, because I'm actually going to go back and look at my website and be like, what can I tweak? What can I make better? What can I make more interesting? What can I make answer more questions? So thank you for even just dropping all these golden nuggets.
You're welcome. Anytime. I love doing this.
I love it. So guys, make sure you check out her website. Make sure you check her out on LinkedIn. If you get a chance, check out Donnie Boivin, Success Champions. Check out the podcast. His podcast is amazing. He had some amazing guests, and check out our episode with Donnie and our episode with Laura. So I just want to say thank you guys for making us number one. Make sure you check out verticalmomentumpodcast.com. That's where we got our t-shirts, swag, everything is there. So it's one place, one idea. So thank you so much, and have an amazing week, and keep kicking ass and being a success champion.
Awesome. Thank you.
And if you get a chance, buy me some Chick-fil-A. I don't mind.
I'll send a gift card.
Okay. Have a great week and take care of yourself.
Thank you.